What's going on, guys? Shaggy here, and welcome to the hardcore challenge mode, where I've put together the most difficult set of settings, mods, and map selection to come up with the ultimate challenge that is at least possible and hopefully fun. So the main star of this is going to be the hardcore balance mod, which adds a lot of things, mainly being that all of the settings are set to the most difficult choices, meaning we're on hard economy, no worker refills, no leasing on contracts, higher interest rates for loans if you can get a loan at all. So to begin with, I've never been much of a roleplay type of player, and this is by no means going to be a roleplay series, but I thought for a challenge like this, I should at least come up with some type of backstory. So our guy Shaggy here, you know, he's tired of the life he was living. He wanted a fresh start. So he sold everything he had, his car, he moved out of his small apartment. He bought this truck and a chainsaw because he heard there was work out here in the middle of nowhere. Which brings us to the map that we're on. This is Roseau Forest. It is a mostly forest map. There's a handful of fields scattered around. There's a small town, which we're getting ready to pull into now, and a couple other selling points around the map. Other than that, that's basically it. So we've all seen Start from Scratch series. We've all seen Start from Nothing series. We've all seen a Forest to Farm series. But I wanted to put together the combination of all of those with the added difficulty of the hardcore balance mod, realistic livestock, and realistic weather. With that being said, we're starting with absolutely no money, no land. All we have to our name is this truck and a chainsaw. So we're going to jump right into the first way we can make a few dollars, and that is a deadwood contract. As we go along, we'll talk about more of the rules and the challenges that we face, the cost of the mods that we're using, and the settings that we're on. But let's get started with this. So deadwood, set $900 all the way down at the bottom of the map. And when I first started planning this series, I wasn't going to start with a truck at all. However, one of the features of the hardcore balance mod is no teleportation. So you cannot tab through vehicles, you cannot fast travel across the map. Anywhere you go, you have to either drive or walk. So I decided a truck would at least be acceptable to start with. Which way is going to be the best way? I know left here. Some of the other things that are going to make this really difficult is the player's lifting capacity has been reduced to 50 kilograms where the base game is 200. So as we get started, any of the logs that we decide we want to keep for whatever reason have to be chopped up into a lot smaller pieces until we get some equipment to carry them with. That's going to be one really big hurdle we're going to have to try and overcome. Which way are we going? Let's go, let me look at the map. I think we need to go right, and then we'll cut across through the trees here. Another big one that's part of the hardcore balance mod that almost makes this impossible is you cannot fast forward time at all. The only way to go through time is by sleeping, and the only way to sleep is with the houses that you build yourself. So that's kind of our goal for this first episode, is to hopefully do a few contracts. We'll do some deadwood, and then I've got a little bit of a surprise once we get, I think, $2,000. That'll really open up some more contracts for us, because I don't want to be stuck doing deadwoods forever. And then we'll take a look at the map, try and find what the cheapest piece of land is, and hopefully get a constructible hut placed down that only requires log as its input. So until then, we're stuck. We can't fast forward through the day. So this first episode is really going to be a grind for me in real life hours, because we only get one deadwood contract, and other contracts that I'm planning on doing, they only refresh once every hour. So after we do this first one here, I'm going to be pausing the recording. You know, with the power of video editing, you guys get to enjoy my suffering while I sit and wait for hours at a time. But I'm really excited. I really been wanting to get this started. Let's see, what is this one? Yep, that's one. So two of the other ones that really make a big difference is going to be the realistic livestock mod, which isn't going to affect us for a while, and the realistic weather, which doesn't affect us right now, but as soon as we get our first fields cleared out and planted, that'll really start making a big difference as far as moisture and stuff like that. I've actually never played with the realistic weather. I've looked at the details of it and seen a few videos, so some of it's going to be a surprise for me. So if you have any tips or tricks or things to watch out for with that, that would be appreciated. Leave your comments below on that. Let's see, there's another tree over here. I guess the main goal for this though is to, or Shaggy's dream here is to take this small town, middle of nowhere, start from nothing and build a fully functioning farm. He wants to have fields, animals, production facilities, everything that we can make out of this. I don't want to make this a forestry focused series, but with the map we chose to go with, there is going to be a lot of tree cutting. There are, if we take a look really quick, I think 17 or 18 fields scattered around the map. But the guy, or I say guy, whoever it was that made this map, I can't remember the name, done a really good job taking prices into consideration. So if you buy a piece of land that is just forestry, it's a lot cheaper than buying one that's already been cleared and turned into field. So it really pushes you to try and buy this forestry land and clear it and build it yourself, which is what we're going to be doing a lot of. Hopefully we can get some of those fields bought for ourselves, but at the same time, once we get some equipment for ourselves and start moving forward, you know, we're still going to be doing contracts on the side for a little side money. So any fields that we buy are potential contracts that are not going to be available to us anymore. I think we got one more tree around here somewhere. Where did it go? I've probably already looked at it. Just missed it. Oh, is that it? No. Doesn't have the paint on it. Way over here? No. The one we just looked at. Where is this? Oh, that one? I think I seen paint on this one. Yep, there we go. Alright, so I think that's our first contract complete. Our first little bit of money in the bank. Yep, there we go. We can go ahead and accept that. Complete. Now if we look, we shouldn't have anything else available to us. Baling, fertilizing, harvesting, hoeing, irrigation. So that's one that's new to me. So with part of the realistic weather is you got to make sure crops have a high enough moisture to keep from withering. So irrigation contracts are added to water crops, which is really interesting. So one of the things we get early on might be a sprayer. We're going to need it for ourselves anyway. Yep, that's all we can do for now. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and drive back to town. It's 8:38 now. The contract should renew at 9 o'clock. I'll go ahead and do another Deadwood contract, and I'll go ahead and let me just go ahead and show you the surprise that I got in store. So if we go down here to hand tools and miscellaneous, we've got a jackhammer, $1,500. So one more Deadwood contract, and we'll be able to buy this jackhammer. And it's a handheld way to be able to do the rock crushing contract. So once we do one more Deadwood, we'll also be able to do the rock removal contracts, which pay a lot more. I think 2,200 almost every time. So at that point, we'll be able to do a Deadwood and a rock removal contract every hour until we can get our first piece of land. Then we can start working on getting our first house built and being able to sleep through the night and move forward with trying to get some equipment and other things going. That's the plan for now. Things might change while I'm waiting for this next contract to be ready. I'll take a look at the map and see if I can find what some of the cheapest pieces of lands are and how long it's going to take for us to be able to get to there. But for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and drive back to town, and I'll check back in when it's time to do the next contracts. Alright, I've been sitting here waiting for 20 minutes. It's after 9 o'clock now. Let's take a look at our contract area. We should have a new Deadwood. Yep. This time it's not far, right above town. So we'll go ahead and head that way. I'm not going to make you guys watch all of these, so I'll probably time lapse through this one, and I'll meet you back at the shop in time to buy our jackhammer. Pulling back up to the shop now. Let's go ahead and open up the store menu. Get that jackhammer purchased. Oh, wait a minute. We got to complete the contract first. Accept that. Now we have $1,800 and $1,500 on this. That'll make it back real quick. Now if we look in our contract, we should be able to find a rock removal 2,200. I think that's over towards the west side of the map, and we got a 4 rock. So let's go pick this up, throw it in the back of the truck. And I'll meet you over there. See how this thing works. There wasn't really a road coming over here, so we kind of just had to drive through the forest, but kind of brings into perspective how cool this map is going to be to see it transform from this dense forest into a fully functioning town, farmland. Alright, let's see. Let's get this rotated right. There we go. One over here. Two. Three. And four. I gotta say, this is one of the coolest mods I've seen in a while. I really do enjoy doing start from scratch, start from nothing, and pretty much all the time you either have to start with some type of mower or something and do grass, or you have to start with the chainsaw and be stuck doing deadwood for a while. But this is actually kind of changes the game as far as doing a start from scratch. But we'll go ahead and complete that. And I did take a look at the map earlier to look at prices of farmland. So I found the creator of this map done a good job of chopping it up into a lot of pieces. I think there's over 80 or 90 different farmlands to choose from, all reasonably priced. But like I said, the ones that are already turned into a field are significantly more expensive than just forestry. For example, if we look at field 9 over here, it's right at 2.5 acres for 50,000, whereas right beside it you get 6.5 acres of forestry for 40,000. So you're way better off buying a piece of forestry and turning it into a field yourself. If you can afford it, sure, go ahead and get the one that's already done. But at the same time, you know, it takes a lot of work to get all these trees cleared and plowed and turned into a field. But you're also going to be making money along the way, selling the logs or wood chips, whichever path you decide to go down. Either way is a really good option, but after looking at all of these different farmlands, I think I found the cheapest one to be number 70, which is tucked right down here in between these two fields. And it comes in at a price of 14,300 basically. So it looks like it's going to be, if I do a rock removal and deadwood contract every hour, that's roughly 3,000 or so. We're at 2,500 right now, so I'm looking at 4 hours of real life time, most of it just sitting around waiting. I'm not going to make you all watch me repeat that process over and over again of doing deadwood and rock removal. I'm not going to completely cut it out, but I'll probably do a nice time lapse, supercut, something like that. So with that being said, at this point, as much as this is going to be a challenge and a waiting game right now, we really got to get that first piece of land, and we got to get our constructible house down, because until that house is built, we can't fast forward time at all. So this is kind of the cycle we're going to be stuck in. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to a time lapse supercut type thing here, and I'll meet you guys back once we've kind of repeated this cycle 4 or 5 times and we have enough money to buy our first piece of land, and we'll go from there. Alright, we finally did it. After 4 hours of sitting around waiting and doing contracts as they became available, we've got enough money in the bank to finally buy the first piece of land. We're pulling up on it now. We're going to go with land number 70. Yeah, that's the one. Tucked right in between these two fields. If I remember correctly, it cost 14,000 and some change. So the goal now is to go ahead and get this purchased, get our constructible house placed down, get some logs loaded into it, get that thing building. While we wait for it to be built, we'll keep knocking out these contracts. Alright, so let's go. Oh, let me cut the truck off. There we go. Let's go into the store. We gotta make sure we buy the right one, the one that only takes log. Alright, let's zoom in down here. Oh, we gotta buy it first. That would help. Field 70. 14,298. That leaves us with 1,600. Where would be the best spot for this? I mean, right here kind of looks like the flattest area. Thinking right here. Yep, that's where it's going. Go ahead and smooth out a little bit. We got a little bit of a bump right here, but that's okay. I'm just glad to finally have this house, even though we still gotta wait for it to be built. The magic of video editing, you guys got to see my 4 hours of suffering all in about probably 2 minutes. Alright, let's cut down a tree and get this thing going. We can probably drop this one right into the zone here. Let's see. If we drop it right in there, will it just take the whole tree without us having to cut it up? Find out. Hey, it did. Alright, so that gets us right at 2,700 liters. Nice. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get one more tree cut up and placed into this to have plenty of wood in it to run for a little while. Then we'll probably use a little bit of the money that we got left over to go ahead and paint a little bit of gravel here. Because if we don't do anything right now, every time we pull onto the property, we gotta drive through this wall of bushes here. So if it don't cost too much, I'll do a little bit of painting, get us a gravel driveway put in. We'll get one more tree loaded into this thing. Alright, there we go. Let's go give this a little test drive and see how it looks. We'll just pull out this way through the bushes. Couldn't get rid of those pink flowers right there, but that's okay. Yeah, this looks way better already. It's already starting to feel like home, and we don't even have a home yet. Park the truck right here. Alright, now it's going to be a little bit more rinse and repeat. We'll have to wait for that wood to process, wait for more contracts to come through. The good thing is now we've bought the land, we've bought the house, so the next little bit of money we get saved up will be purchasing our first pieces of equipment. And doing that that'll open up some more contracts for us. So if we take a look in the store, I've got this small tractor in here. Yep, we've got the 710 we can get for 7,500. We've also got the little Volvo for 11,000. That one is 32 horsepower. The 710 is 50, so that's kind of a no-brainer there. We'll also keep an eye out on the used shop. Is there anything in here? Well, nope. I guess that's what we're stuck with until we can finish the house and be able to sleep through the first night. But as the days start to progress by and we start getting through these days a lot faster, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the used market. But for now, I think we're going to be starting with the little 710, and we'll be picking up whatever equipment we can to kind of move forward with contract. If we can get a small trailer to go with it, we could also start clearing out some of the trees on our land. However, only being able to lift 50 kilos instead of the base game's 200 is really going to make moving logs by hand a challenge. So don't really want to do that until we can get some fork or something. But while we're still waiting this hour at a time for contracts to pass by, we might chop up a couple trees, get them loaded into the truck, haul some logs that way, see if we can make a few dollars. I don't expect to make very much off of them, being on hard economy and how small we got to cut them. But we'll definitely give it a try. We'll chop up 1 or 2 trees while we wait for this next batch of contracts. And then we'll take a look while we're talking about contract. I'm thinking once we get the tractor, our first piece of equipment will probably be a weeder. Oh, maybe not. I don't see any weeding contracts. Let's see. We've got fertilizing. I don't really like doing fertilizing contracts because you got to pay for the fertilizer. They don't pay as well as they look on paper. We could potentially get a small hoe, take on these 2 hoeing contracts. If we got a sprayer, I think irrigation contracts with the realistic weather mod will be probably a year-round thing other than winter. We got a mowing contract. If we got a mower, we could also mow the grass on our land potentially. Not really a whole lot to choose from here, but we're not there yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, we're gonna let the house process the wood. I got lucky that other tree, I was able to angle it just right and land in here too, so I didn't have to cut it up either. We got 7,500 liters in the storage here being processed, and we'll probably go ahead and chop up we'll go ahead and do 1 tree, load it into the truck, take it to the sawmill, see how much money we get for it. If it's not worth it, we probably won't do it until we can get some forks in a trailer or something to be able to haul some bigger logs with, because I don't really see us making a lot of money off of small firewood pieces. But anyway, let me give that a shot and we'll see how it goes. Alright, we've got the truck loaded down pretty good. I'm gonna say that's about, well, I was gonna say half the tree, but maybe not quite half. I could probably fit a little bit more on here, but we'll keep it somewhat realistic. I don't even know where the sawmill is. Take a look at the map real quick. Let's see. Oh, down here to the right. So we need to go all the way right to field 15, take a right, follow it down, and veer off left. Alright, so let's go get my feelings hurt with hard economy prices. Let's Let's put your guesses in the comment below while I'm driving over there. I'm not going to time lapse this drive. I'm going to drive all the way over there, give you time to scroll down, put a comment below how much you think this is going to sell for. I'm going to say it's not quite half the tree. 500? I'm going to say around 500. If it's more than 500, I'm going to say it's worth it to go ahead and start clearing the land by hand. Even though I don't want to make you all watch me chop a bunch of trees by hand, I will grind it out for you guys to get some money in the bank so we can move on to something else, because this is definitely a challenge. This game save is going to be a test of patience and perseverance. Yeah, I'm gonna say around 500. If we get more than 600, I'll be happy, and I'll probably start chopping some trees. If it's less than 500, I got a feeling it might be. That's probably not worth it to do by hand. So just wait until we can get some log fork and at least cut them, 4 or 6 meters long. That way they're worth more. But we're turning in now, so get your comment in. Let's see what the guesses are. See how much it sells for. Alright, where do we gotta go here? I think this is it. Looks right. Take the straps off. Yep, that's it. Alright, let's see what we got. Moment of truth. 3, 2, 1. Hey, $1,300 for that load. Okay, this is actually doable. This is actually doable. Alright. That makes that changes things. I really didn't think we were gonna get that much. $1,300 for a third of a tree cut into maybe 1 meter length. Probably not. Half meter, something like that. That's actually pretty good. Okay, I thought hard economy was going to be way worse than this. That's actually doable. Well, I know what my goal is now. I think I need to chop at least a few trees, and now I've got something to do while I wait for the contracts to renew. So that's kind of making me a little bit happy too. It's been kind of rough just sitting here waiting an hour at a time. Just kind of let the game sit there and run while I go eat or something like that. Yeah, now we actually have some stuff we can work on. This challenge is really starting to begin now. So let me get back to the farm. We'll go ahead and get a couple more loads in. We'll get some contracts knocked out. I'll do a nice little time lapse supercut type thing, and let me know what you guys think about the editing so far, because I know this series is going to be a lot of grinding, a lot of repetitiveness, so I don't want to leave a lot of it in there, but at the same time, I don't like leaving anything out, because when I watch people play, I watch a lot of Let's Play series myself, and one thing I really don't like is when people do a lot of work off camera, especially in between episodes. It kind of leaves me as a viewer feeling like I got left out a part of the journey. And that if that works for some people, that's great, but I don't really enjoy watching that, so I don't plan on doing a lot of that. I'll try not to do anything off camera in between episodes, but at the same time, I don't want to keep every single bit of footage of the repetitive stuff that we do. So I'll try and always at least, say what I'm going to do, come up with a plan, and then maybe do a small montage or you know, time lapse of everything we do. That way, nothing gets left out, and you don't feel like you're missing anything. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and get a couple more of these trees done. I'll do what I can, and once we get to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, another 22 minutes, we'll have another deadwood and rock crushing contract we can do. Excuse me. Um, in between then, by the time we get those contracts renewed and done, and get this tree and maybe one more hauled off, we'll probably be able to go ahead and buy that tractor, and then we can start planning on what we're going to do from there. So yeah, let's take a check on the house really quick, see how much progress it's made. All right, it's only going to take 70 more liters, and then the first stage of construction will be done. So while I do this time lapse and keep everything rolling here for you guys, I'll try and pop in and at least showcase the house being built in the multiple stages, because it is pretty cool to see it all come together. Even though this one is strictly just wood input, it still gets built in multiple stages along the way. And I think that'll probably be one of our big goals moving forward, kind of long term for the series, is to pick a spot on the map that we want to call our home and get a actual nice constructible house built. You know, it's going to be a long ways to go before we get to there, because they require a lot of inputs like planks and concrete and bricks and stuff like that. But I feel like that's a really good goal to shoot for long term, and build it up, get a couple sheds, you know, have a real place we can call home other than this little shed. This is where we're going to start, though. This is where a lot of the grinding is going to happen. And hope you're enjoying the hardcore challenge so far, because I really am. Even though it's been a lot of waiting so far, we're finally to a point now where I don't have to do any more waiting. I can just kind of do some trees while we wait for this, and once the house is built, then we'll have the ability to sleep and renew our contracts that way. Unfortunately, every time we fast forward is going to be a whole month, so we're going to fly through probably this first year pretty quickly, doing a few contracts and then sleeping through the night and repeating that process until we can get our own stuff going. But it's going to be fun either way. If you got any suggestions on what we should start with or what we should be working towards, just leave it in the comments below, and we'll see what we can work in there. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and get to work with this. Back at the sawmill again. I had to stack it pretty high, but I was able to get the whole rest of that tree on here all in one load. So be interested to see what we get for the rest of it. Another 1,700, nice. So we're up to 4,000 now. Yeah, we got 10 more minutes before we can go do another set of contracts. And let's see, if we get 3,000 from those and we do one more load of wood, we'll be able to buy the tractor. I think that's where we're going to call it here for episode 1. It's been a pretty good journey. If you got any suggestions, remember, leave them in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you want to see some more. And we'll see you in the next one.